Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sacred Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, intuitive consultant, and producer, Jennifer Way. And if you're new to our show, please go ahead and follow, rate, and review wherever you are listening or watching. We really love having you here in our sacred space. Today, we bring you comedian Liz Miele and comedian, writer, tarot goddess, and somatic therapist, Miss Lyssa Mandel. We just start off just talking about cats, but you gotta stick around for some adorable cameos from Liz's kitty. And as we always like to do here on Sacred Comedy, we go deep. We get to some vulnerable truths and we hit on boundaries, people pleasing, understanding shame, how sometimes we can gaslight ourselves, all the fun shadowy stuff. But it is tons of laughs and tons of love for this squishy Valentine's Day episode. So start up your favorite chores or hobby, get comfortable, and join us. We are so happy that you're here.
I am a lover of all cats, and I do like the fur. But I think it's a Burmese. And I talked to this woman because her husband and her son were super allergic, and she wasn't. And I was like, how allergic? And they're like, couldn't even enter a room. And they have I'm pretty sure it's a Burmese, and they look like almost long-haired Siamese cats. They're like literally models. They're like gorgeous cats. But there are like a bunch of different varieties now. Hence why the doodles for dogs have gone. It's because I think poodles are
hypoallergenic.
So that's why that whole thing has now everybody's doodle. They're also very smart, but there's now a bunch of different breeds because I think it's the dander that people are allergic to. I forget what it is.
I'm hoping that it's either the cats that like evolve so that I can use them so that I can have one. Sorry, I have COVID right now and my brain is not fully here.
No.
Oh, Jen, I thought you knew.
No, I didn't know.
Sorry, you're not.
But I'm hoping that either the cats catch up so that I can, have one, or like human allergy medication catches up so that I can't. Because like
there's also shots. I know that. I just don't know anything about the shots. So
sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but they're very expensive.
Yeah, and it would be pretty awful to fall in love with a cat and be like, it's not working.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I would sooner kick myself out than kick a cat out if I adopted a cat.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome to the Sacred Comedy Podcast, Liz Miele and Lyssa Mandel. I'm so happy to have you guys here. Woo!
Our names are very similar. We could, you know what I mean? It's like something about saying it.
I know. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I feel like, I've been in the comedy circles for a long time and know who you are, but I don't know that we've ever like actually interacted in a show situation before.
Well, we can't with our names. We would confuse too many people. It's too.
Well, we got to do it in Italian. It's a perfect pair.
For sure.
Oh my gosh. LM squared.
That's yeah.
Gonna be. I love it. Oh, this is great. Well, Liz, I know you've done it before because I'm friends with Kate Wolf, and Kate Wolf told me that she used to read for you. And but like, Lyssa is a really talented tarot reader. And she's been doing this for us. She's been doing this for us for a couple of episodes now, and she also does some of it on the Sacred Comedy Show, like on the stages. But she is also very close to being a somatic therapist. Like she's almost, you're wrapping up your training, right? So
yeah, I actually finished my training. Right now I'm just I'm gathering practice hours with practice clients.
What's somatic? I don't think I know what that is.
So it's like it's a body-based therapy, but it's therapy. It's one-on-one therapy, but rather than it only being talking about the issues, it presumes that that we store like emotional memories, implicit memories in our tissues, and
for sure, yeah,
that like any kind of like regular issues, like patterns that we see that we can't seem to heal by talking about them, we go into the subconscious level, and we also speak directly into parts of the body as they are like representative of like parts of our inner child. So it's basically like healing those old traumas from the root by using more like right brain techniques and like body awareness based techniques.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love it's been wildly helpful for me. And like I, was in talk therapy my whole life pretty much, not getting anywhere. And then when I started doing this work, it's like you actually feel like it's like rerouting your neural pathways. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So I trained a little bit in somatic trauma therapy, or yeah, trauma informed somatic therapy, and it's pretty amazing. It has a little bit to do with like body movement as well. I mean, there's so many ways energy is trying to like be expressed, and it just kind of, as Lyssa was saying, it's just more than just the talky talk,
And it's
which is nice.
like nervous system regulation, basically assuming that the body is not just something to be overridden, but that it has as much intelligence and as many messages as the mind does. So, and Jennifer, I feel like a lot of what you do, sorry, I didn't mean
It's
to
okay.
like hijack this entire conversation.
No.
It's okay.
But I feel like a lot of what you do in your readings, because I've had readings with you, when you guide, the client into their bodies, into certain body sensations and like noticing or like visualizing what's there is really similar to what I do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, and this is also like another weird thing about this kind of stuff, Liz, is like if I when I do readings for people, sometimes I'll feel physical sensations, and it'll be things that they're experiencing. Like if I'll have a reading, I'll get on the phone with someone, and I'll notice that like my right shoulder just got all weird. It takes a long time to make sure that it's like not me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
because I'm always like, it's always me. It's everything is, but after a while, then you realize like, okay, this is coming up. Like I'm then the person will be like, yeah, I had a shoulder injury and it's really messing me up. Anyway, you don't have to get. It's real, Liz. I promise. So, Liz, you're I guess with the reading, with the tarot reading, we always like them because they're super fun. But if you have any like specific questions, think about those, and you can ask Lyssa, or if you want really to do just more like a general reading, then she can do that as well.
Yeah, and I want to just like put out there that like I myself was a skeptic until I was like 30, like completely. And I don't read as a divination tool. Like I don't read predictively. I think of the cards as basically another language that we can use to contextualize whatever is, here energetically already. Like just archetypes and symbols as opposed to like, you're gonna win $10 million next week. I mean, I wish I could tell you that, but
Please, just let me know because I'd be using my money differently. And actually you'd be a financial advisor at this point if that.
I promise you that is not me.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I can be honest that I am probably a cynic, but I'm also probably that with everything. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I've always loved like astrology in a funny way in the sense that like I remember probably as young as middle school, I would come home and I would read my horoscope and if it was good, I was like, yeah, and if it was bad, I'm like this is dumb. Like you know what I mean? Like I've always been a like try to be as positive as possible and that was just like you know what I mean? Like to the point where it was like, if you think about it, like personality and therapy wise, like if somebody was like, hey, you're such a good friend. Thanks for being my friend. I'd be like, yeah, I'm a good friend. If somebody's like, hey, you really hurt my feelings, I'd be like, what do they know? I'm a perfect friend. And that has its issues that therapy has helped me with. Where it's, oh, I guess, oh, Liz doesn't like any criticism. So it is kind of funny where I've seen my own growth in anything, which is like nobody likes to hear any bad news or process anything bad. And there's different ways of masking that. And clearly it started with, comedy and making jokes at everything. But as you get healthier, I still love like I feel much healthier and I still clearly make everything a joke. But I can also see like, oh, my friend's telling me about a sad story and I'm making a joke and we're both laughing, but I couldn't sit in that sad moment with her and I had to get out of it as quickly as possible. And I'll kind of recenter myself and and like my friends and we all communicate in that jokey way, but I also know that I need to be able to sit with my own pain and other people's pain. So it's interesting that like as you get older and you recognize your habits, you can see also how you take in anything, you know.
Totally. I mean, and you have so much self-awareness. Like, I don't think you're going to come on here and like make fun of everything, but even if you did, like, it would be from a place of self-awareness, of like wisdom and um uh Yeah. I whatever happens, there are no bad cards. There
Yeah.
really are no bad cards. And if I say something that touches a place of like, how dare you say that about me, then you can tell
I'll be
me.
like, Lyssa, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? This is why you got COVID. No, just get like real defensive.
I mean, I do. I wonder about it because like I'm so gullible about it, and I am like really into astrology now. Because
Yeah.
also when I was a kid, I would also like read my horoscope and whatever. It's completely different now. But um, I got COVID on the Leo full moon, and of course Leo is like fire sign, and I have a lot of like air and fire in my chart. So I'm like, the fire was too much. It was too much. I got a fever.
Everybody's getting burnt. But I also think regardless, I was like, I like having different perspectives. And I think that's really important. And I think there's like I'm not a very religious person whatsoever, but I have a lot of religious friends and spiritual friends. And even if I don't see the world the way they see it, they've taught me so much where I'm like, maybe I don't believe this as a full construct, but that's a good lesson. And that's something
Totally.
that I can take from. And I think everything has its value, even if it's like not fully how you would see the world.
Totally. And it's just like you take what works for you and you dump the rest, and that's how all of life should be. And yeah. I'm open to learning a reframe from you also. So
Yeah. Well, you've
yeah,
already learned about cats, so you're welcome.
truly this has been worth it. Thank you,
Yeah, yeah.
Jennifer.
You're just like they got pretty hypoallergenic cats. Shut up.
But yeah, all of that said, like, are there like if there are particular things that are like really flummoxing you, particular areas in life where you're like, I could really use some guidance, then you can let me know.
You know what's really interesting though? Like, and this is something that's been the last couple of years, and I think about it a lot. Like, I like my life a lot. I'm
Ooh.
very, very fortunate. It took both therapy and all the work I've done probably in the last 10 years to be a part of in a place in my career that like this is what I've always wanted. And does it ever look the way you thought it would? Absolutely not. But I can still say I'm here, I'm happy, I like what I do, I like who I've surrounded myself with. My problems are like aspirational problems. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's not it's like interesting how like if you look at life, you're never going to solve your problems. You just hope to have better problems.
totally.
So there's no I don't look at my life and be like I hate this, but like I look at my life and I go, "Oh, how much more money do I have to make to get a personal assistant?" I think a
Mhm,
personal assistant would take away some of those problems that I just never want to deal with again. But
mhm.
like I joke with my best friend from childhood. She's a wedding videographer. I've known her since I was 10 years old. She's my favorite person. And she's done a little bit of work. She's done some like videography stuff for me, but she'll make posters occasionally. But she has two kids, and we always joke that she's going to be my personal assistant. And I remember a couple of years ago when I was doing a little bit better, but like not amazing. I looked at her. We were at a coffee shop getting work done. I go, how much would you have to make to like be my personal assistant? Like quit what you do? And she's like, I don't know, like $50,000. I was like, "Ew, I'm not gonna pay you $50,000." I'm like, "Fuck you." Like, that's horrible. And keep in mind, I wasn't even making $50,000 myself. So I'm just
Yeah,
like, first of all, I don't even know how I'm gonna make 100,000 so we both can make 50,000, let alone I think you should make more than I'm currently making right now. So it's like just bonker. But I was like, and we've all read the same like happiness books where like I think there's a bunch of studies that say like max amount of happiness is 75K a year. Like no, you don't get more happy. Now, I'm sure that doesn't apply to New York
that's
City.
different now because inflation, but
Yeah,
yes.
I would say it's very different now. I'm
It's
sure New
just
York
like
City.
cats, like the
Yeah,
evolution, you
everything
know.
evolution, guys. So I'm sure New York's because you're like considered under the not under the poverty line, but not you get it. I get assistance for my health insurance because anything under 110K, I think in New York City, you get health insurance. Like they'll take because it's fucking expensive.
Crazy.
But but yeah, so in general, I was just like, I'm not gonna pay less than 75K because you have to be happy. I want my best friend to be happy. But like I don't even know how to make that money for myself, let alone to make at least I was joking double, like where I'm making it and like my assistant's making as much as me, but clearly the goal is for me to make more and to be able to pay her. But like it's less about the money, but I do find myself I can tell a main goal for me is and I've done it in a lot of ways. I am financially stable. I'm very good with my money. but I want to be in a place where I can help other people be financially stable, both with my knowledge of what I've done for myself creatively, but also as I get smarter with my finances. But then also, I want to be able, I want when people find out that they open for me, that I've changed people's lives creatively and financially because they open for me. Because people have done that for me, because it's very hard to work your way up in this business. So I can find that, like, I find that what I think about a lot is, if this is it, if I've peaked, I'm happy. But if what are the ways I can take what I've already learned and make it better for myself and for others?
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And also, congrats on making any money at all doing the thing that you love.
Yeah, I know, right?
Lord knows, like, I tried for a very long time and did not get it. So, thus therapy school. All right. That's a great question, though.
But it is, am I going to have $10 million? That's pretty much it. I think if we really broke it down, I was like, is it going to be 8 million or 10 million, Lyssa? Let me know. Trying to figure out my future planning. Will my cats have their own bedroom? That's all I'm asking.
Oh, totally. Why not?
They need it. They're insane.
All right. So, I guess I'm just going to hold them up. The first 3 cards that came out, we got the 10 of Wands, the 6 of Pentacles, and the Daughter or Page of Swords. So this is the Wild Unknown tarot deck. A lot of people think it's really dark.
I was about to say it's spooky as fuck, although I really love that owl. I was like, I hope that owl's good because I love him.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of dark. I just love the style of the art, and I think that and there's like always pops of color in it, with the exception right here of the 10 of Wands. So we'll start there. Okay. So like basically this is like, okay, actionable guidance to get you like not just solid, but like thriving and like able to have more. And when the 10 of Wands comes up first, I think of 2 things. One, I think usually it's about a card about burnout.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean, oh my God, you're so burned out right now. It's just like Wands is the suit that has to do with like your energy, like your life force energy, your passion, your creativity, like how much juice you have in the tank. And the 10 is sort of like the maximum amount. Like there is it's just could be a warning about holding too many things, trying to juggle too many things. And if you're doing, and like you picked up all of those things because you loved them and there was nothing wrong in doing that. It's just in the season, it is a gentle invitation to maybe set down all of these things that you're holding. Don't hold any of them for a second and just like really assess like what you need and want to pick back up. That said, recently I was working with a different deck that had a different interpretation of this card, which was that like it's a leveling up card where like you are holding a lot, you are being asked to hold a lot, and that's because you have reached this level where you have the capacity to be challenged, to step up and hold that much. Though still in that situation, it's like, it's like, how can you delegate? Like, how can you ask for assistance from people, not people who you're paying.
With money.
But legit, but like not people that you're paying to give you that assistance, but people, but like having the humility to say, hey, like, even though I have an excess of this, I actually have like a dearth of this other kind of like wisdom or information. And like think about the people in your life who maybe have plenty of that information that they would be happy to sit down and give to you. And that's interesting because the second card that came up, the 6 of Pentacles.
Hold on 1 second. My cat is losing his goddamn mind.
Isn't that the way, right? Like it's always.
I thought he'd give up, but he's just kind of screaming outside the door. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, sorry. Is there a reason he can't come in?
Yeah, because he's fucking nuts, and he already knocked down 4 things off my desk. And is my desk? This is Ghost, by the way. So if we're gonna go spooky.
Hey, Ghosty, sweet.
And then Lunchbox is like, oh, I didn't know we're having a party, so he's in here.
Oh my God, your cat's name is Lunchbox.
Yeah, he's so cute. He's so fat. He eats plastic. Like I've never named something so perfect.
When I think about lunchboxes, I think about those ones from the 80s. Like I had a red Care Bears lunchbox.
I collect them. I have so many of them. Yeah, I have like 9 of them, and I have like Simpsons. The real one that I had as a kid was Aladdin, but I bought a Mork and Mindy from a flea market when I was
Oh,
15. I have Simpsons, Ninja Turtles, dinosaurs. Remember dinosaurs? Like not the
yes.
mama. I have dinosaurs. Pee-wee's Playhouse. I
Oh my
love them.
God.
So my
Okay.
and that's why he's lunchbox, by the way. I only found out that he eats plastic because he's a dum dum.
Liz, side note, Jen, I'm sorry this is going to be all over the place, but like, so I do this show and I didn't do it for a long time, but I'm bringing it back in February, um, where I have people bring on like childhood artifacts
Oh,
to
that's so
show and
cool.
tell of them. And I feel like,
Do it,
even
Liz.
if these are
Do it.
things that you, yeah. Even if these are things that you've collected in your adulthood, I feel like they're so relevant and there's like stories. Anyway, it's called the bitch seat. So,
Oh, I love that.
okay, so back to this.
Yeah, sorry.
So the Six of Pentacles, this beautiful card right here. Pentacles is the suit of earth, of the earthly material. So like your money, physical resources, like what you make and do with your hands. And Six of Pentacles is often an invitation to assess what you have. It's a balancing card, what you have in abundance and what you need some of. And so that what you have in abundance, you're asked to share with others. And what you might not have enough of, you're asked to like reach out and ask for it. So it's like a balancing of the scales. It's noticing if you have one cup that's super empty and one cup that's overflowing, like how can you get them, sort of equivalent. So that feels relevant to this in terms of like, um, you know, trees that are planted in a forest actually do better than trees that are planted by themselves because they share resources underground, and humans are the same. So, um, even though it feels like in your pursuit of becoming like really like financially successful, um, it's not an isolated, you're not in a silo. Like you actually have the benefit of resources of community all around you to like share and barter with. And so to do that more. So it might seem counterintuitive because like you're thinking you have to do it all yourself to get yourself up the mountain to a point, but it's actually okay to like, you know, step on other people's shoulders. That's not like take other people's hands as you step up the ladder, if that makes sense. Um, and then the third card, so sweet. We're like across a set, three different suits. The daughter or page of swords, so sweet. The pages across all the suits are basically like children, or they're novices, they're students. They're like wide-eyed and full of like really pure curiosity and wonder. They don't assume anything and they're not experts yet, and that's exactly what they're supposed to be. So and swords is the suit of like ideas and words and communication. Oh my gosh,
I'm sorry. I've
I
just like
love
as you're talking, I didn't for a second I was like, hoping she knows I'm not shaking my head at her. He's biting my pants that are drying, like, and it's like a drying rack and it's shaking because he's fat
I
and
know, but
he's gonna
they
jump off
made
that.
it. Yeah, they have to be the center of attention or else that's
Just
it.
you're just like, it's so innocent. And I was like, oh, my cats are innocent. And I was like, idiot, innocent.
But yes, like your cat. Like there's a lot of so it's raw. There's raw skill, and basically when a page comes up to me, it's like a call to let yourself like kind of fumble and mess up and be open minded as you figure out this arena. If it happens to be like managing, managing your wealth or figuring out how to make more of it, or whatever the area is, like allow yourself to ideate, to brainstorm, and to fall on your ass a few times. That's okay. It's actually called for. And in fact, it's like kind of the antidote to this energy, which is like so overburdened, with doing too much. Like, what if you just put it all down and get really simple and really curious, and like let there be a sense of kind of wonder, um about these questions that you have. um does that make sense so far?
It does. I mean, it's funny because it like what I do like about this stuff is it lets you kind of play around with some questions you have. So like I've been with my boyfriend for 6 months now. My boyfriend is like, it's like a little helper bee. Like he is just, and that's how he is with everybody, and he's just knows how to do stuff, and in the nicest way possible has like yelled at me. He's just like, let me do things. And it's just like he's like it's funny. He's like, one of the things I really love and respect about you is how independent you are. But I can see that one of the things I'm frustrated about with you is how independent you are. And it's like I'm just I like that. Hey, I like that, and you're gonna make a hole in it. It's like, Lacey, what are we doing here? Um, workout pants are fine. Don't mess up my cute shirts.
Yeah.
But he just fixed my apartment door. We got a new door on our apartment door because it wouldn't shut, and I'm the first apartment, and it just didn't make me feel safe. So they get this new door. Somebody moves in, puts something in it, and it breaks immediately, like completely unhinged. The door can't even shut now. And I was like, that a week after we get this new door, and I was like losing my mind. So somebody comes out, they fix it, but now it won't shut. And that was one of the original problems before, is that you could just push it open. And again, I'm the first apartment. So for 6 months, I was like, can we fix this door? Can we fix this door? Can we fix this door? And then we have kind of like a little building meeting. He fixes half the stuff, but he still hasn't fixed the door. And then this weekend, my boyfriend was like, give me your tools. I'm fixing the door. It takes him 10 minutes. He fixes the door. I'm like, it slams a little bit, but I don't care about the slam. Like the noise doesn't bother me. The slam is reassuring. The door is shut. This is so exciting. But I should have let him do it 6 months ago. And I kept being like, no, the guy says it's under warranty and they'll fix it and they'll fix it. And even after it's 2 weeks after the meeting, they say they're going to fix it. Hasn't been fixed, fixes it in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And it's kind of a perfect example of our relationship a little bit, where he's like, let me help you. And I'm like, nah, it's not your job. You have a full-time job. You have you don't need, he's like, I want to help. And I was like, nah. And then this weekend he found an old camera that he's used like twice, but it's really good. And he filmed 2 of my sets. They look amazing. He's an editor, so he's like, give me the audio, I'll mix it. And I'm like, you don't need to do this. He's like, I want to. And it's like, I can see that I don't. Even like my friend, even though I'm going to pay her, she's offered to like make stuff for free, and I never let her do it. But like, there's a part of me that's like, I will drop anything for my friends and my family. I have, to the point where therapy was also like, maybe don't drop everything. Like, you have to make your own. You are being an idiot. Just a full blown moron.
I'm just waiting.
You're watching my
I'm just
cat
waiting to watch it.
Yeah.
I know.
Good.
No,
Yes.
unnecessary. The fact that nothing is broken, he's just been the worst. But I've had to be in therapy. I definitely am like a semi-reformed people pleaser. I like helping people. I love being there for people. And now I think I do it in a more healthy way. I'm like, hey, I can't talk today, but I can do this. This is something that I can help this much with, but I think you need to do the rest. Like, I've created healthy boundaries for myself, but I can tell that I don't like people helping me. And what I've learned over time is that it's unfair and unbalanced to help people in whatever fashion and not receive it back, right? And in some ways it's selfish. In other ways, some of it can be like, you don't believe in that other person. However they interpret it is how they interpret it. And that's clearly not how I feel, but that's how people take it on. And so it's interesting with a lot of it. I go through courses of being burnt out because I travel for a living, and it is like I'm doing 17 jobs at once, from booking myself to, being a travel agent, to editing my own videos, to writing and performing. But I am slowly, in a 4 to 8% way, asking people for a little bit back, and realizing that it actually makes a stronger connection as well. And those
Yes.
want to be there. You know what I mean? And even just like little things where like somebody was like, hey, can you give me a call? And I was like, I'm slammed today. Like, I'm slammed, and then I'm touring. Like, if this isn't an emergency, can we talk about it next week? And 90% of the time they're like, yeah, of course. But in my mind, especially with anxiety and just how I was raised, I'm like, I can't let this ball fall. They'll never be my friend again. Like, you just have this anxiety and these beliefs that things have to be done now a certain way for you to maintain connection. And it's just, most of it's made up in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really feel you. And I'm also a recovering people pleaser. And So much of it is not. Jennifer is as well.
I started waitressing for the first time in my life, and I'm like, this is the perfect job for me. Why did I never do that?
I told you. Did I not tell you? Yes.
I'm like 47-year-olds. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
But
Yeah.
Actually, what's funny about that is when I was a waitress, it caused more anxiety because I wanted people the same way that I want people to enjoy the show. Like I would come home from a shift and I'd be like, oh my God, did I ever get that woman her salad? Like I couldn't let it go. Like
it didn't go away though. Like I served tables for 10 years and I would wake up in the middle of the night being like, I didn't refill the Diet Coke. Oh my God. They, so,
yeah.
but like being on your feet and it's meditative, and when you walk out the door you hopefully leave it there, etc.
For sure.
But yeah, what you're talking about, it really is, that's like Six of Pentacles energy of when you are able to like zoom out and see like the balance of the world is made better when we do allow other people to pick up some of the slack. That it actually is like not a selfless move to take it all on yourself. But you articulated it perfectly.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing, Liz. Think of the whole thing with the door. That's data. Like that's data that you're like, okay, here's an example of a way for me to kind of like receive, like receiving, in the new age world where I don't know, we rent here. I don't think we live here. We was kind of, but like, I don't want to say we live there because it's just too crazy there. But it is this whole idea of receiving, right? And then in terms of that monetary, when we want to bring that in, there's always that talk, right, Lyssa? Like there's always that talk about like, well, you have to be better at receiving and receiving your abundance, because the same feeling that you have, the feelings that you get when you do help people, which is so beautiful that was part of your reason for that's in there. It's like that's a huge part of it. You'll be better at helping people when you learn to receive that. And it's so uncomfortable. It's opening up something that it hasn't been opened before. I'm getting
And
weird
it's
pictures in my
vulnerable.
head. It's like,
What'd you say?
there was
Vulnerable, yeah.
there is probably a scar. It's kind of covered with scar tissue in a way, like in terms of like belief systems and like energetically, and reopening it seems really scary. But
like,
data
sorry.
can be helped. No, it's okay. I was going to say, like, for me, like my brain will run through every scenario a lot. And it's taken a lot of practice to just be more aware of like the data I'm getting. Okay, Jen, you might be feeling weird about receiving this, but remember when this happened and it was okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm pointing out.
For sure. And it's almost like we talked about kind of earlier. Like, I know I was raised to help my mother with my siblings and to shut the fuck up. Like, that's how I was raised. And because my mom was just trying to survive and my family was trying to just like get through things. But and I feel extremely responsible for my siblings. Like, even my older sister and her kids, like, I feel, and like, it's interesting. Nobody thinks I'm responsible for anybody, right? Maybe these losers, but
That was so perfect. That timing.
yeah.
So you're responsible for me, Mom.
Yeah, he's like, you just fed me, but I'm still hungry. But like, I like being somebody that goes above and beyond. I also can't always do it, and I think I went through a phase of being burnt out because I was still trying to maintain being everything for everyone while also living my own life and feeling and truly like guilted into like, if I don't put other people first, I'm a bad person. And A, I know that's not true, and B, I've gotten good at setting boundaries and doing my best to be there for people because they're there for me. But I also just feel like it is such a wound to be seen as, like you said, vulnerable, but also to have needs. Like, having needs that I don't fulfill myself is like, for lack of a better weighing of it, I almost feel like a failure.
I
And
Yeah,
Same,
there's, I
same,
mean,
same, me the same.
same. There's shame there.
yeah.
And um I just want to say, like, we all come by that honestly. Like, we're not born into the world that way.
Yeah.
That's just what we learn, in the
Yeah.
first, few years of being on Earth. And society doesn't really help it, with the whole like bootstraps fallacy. So I get it. But because it's part of, your original bonding, your original programming, it's going to be a lifelong conversation that you're always having with yourself, where you have this sensation of like, oh, it feels gross to have a need. And then, but adult Liz can say to little Liz, like, I know it feels gross, but it's actually like part of my aliveness is having needs. Like,
Yeah.
that's built in. Yeah.
Adult Liz and little Liz are the same size. So we're gonna have to have different language.
Look, listen, same, okay? So you can't see me in person. I am over 5 feet tall, and
Yeah.
I stopped growing in 5th grade, and my younger self was so fucking ambitious and cutthroat and had expectations and dreams and straight A's, and she was gonna get somewhere. And let me tell you, like, my midlife crisis has been all about like adult Lyssa has fucked it up for little Lyssa, like big
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. It's so interesting too, because it's like there are things. So I've been with my boyfriend for 6 months, but I was single for like 3 years. And I think when you're, especially with specifically with like romantic love, like when you're single for a fair amount of time, you're like, oh, I'm healed. I did all the work. I'm healed because nothing's pressing up against these wounds of kind of these connection and love relationships. But you feel like I'm great with my friends. I went on a date. I handled it well. And then as soon as I was with my boyfriend, I was like, nothing is solved. Like he's just like, let me do this for you. And I'm like, no, why would you do that? Like, I don't want to depend on you. What if you leave? And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like, okay, buddy. You start to like see these things that you thought were like, I don't have abandonment issues. And then immediately you're like, oh, everything I've set up my whole life so that if somebody leaves, it looks exactly the same. Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting where like I do there's a really great Mark Maron bit.
I love him.
He's so good. And I don't even know if I think it's framed in therapy, but he's like, I've always been like kind of an inconsiderate asshole. And all that's changed with like therapy and time is the time between being an asshole and apologizing has gotten shorter.
Yes.
You're right. So it used to be like years later I would apologize, then it was weeks later, and now it's like, go fuck yourself. I'm so sorry. I didn't have my coffee today. Like, and that's almost how I feel, which is like I am 100% who I was as a kid, but my awareness of it and the fixing of it has gotten shorter.
That's
Where
growth.
yeah, for sure.
Huge.
But I think there's this illusion that at some point you don't make those mistakes or you don't even have those thoughts. And I think what it's taken me a long time is just because I have the thoughts or just because I still kind of go through even only mentally the same, cycle, if I'm not making the same mistakes or I'm not following through or if at least I catch it before it ruins something, that is progress. And I can now tell people when I'm burnt out. I can now say, like, a good example is I would drive like 13 hours. I would drive to Kentucky because that was like, I can't fly there. It's the only way I can make money. I would drive like through the night. Like, I would do these crazy drivings in my 20s. And I'm 38. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. There's sometimes I can't even do 2 hours. So my two best friends from high school, one is I think 4 hours away, the other one's 3 hours away. And my weekends are filled, but maybe I could go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And they're like, oh, you can drive right from there to there. And I was like, I can't. I'll die. And even if I don't die, I'm going to be a sack of shit when I get there. So how about this? Let me go home. Let me like recoup. I can come later in the day or we can pick another weekend. And do I want to see my friends? Absolutely. Do I feel bad with they have kids, everybody has a crazy schedule, being the only one that can't come? Sure. But I'm not going to die at the wheel and I'm not going to overextend myself after working all weekend. And those are the things and then of course, my friends are like, of course, you know what I mean? But I couldn't say that even 5 years ago. I would just do it and I would either feel resentful or almost die. And there's no reason for either of those things when these people for sure care about me.
I mean, Liz, you are crystal clear. Like, this could be a TED Talk. Everything you're saying, I'm blown away by it because you definitely sound like somebody who's done a lot of work. And not like a cynic, as you said. That was the word you used. Yeah.
I'm so centered by my kittens.
Yeah, I just can't handle how adorable it is when the little hand comes up in
I
frame
know.
and just puts you
Yeah,
on a
he's
place.
he's like, this is how he wants to. He won't sit in, like, I do have like a pocket sweatshirt, like a crazy lady. He won't sit in that, but like he's sitting like a dude. His legs are splayed, and we watch TV this way. And if I stop petting him, he's like, "What do we do? What? Like,
Oh wait, your screen froze, but I think
Oh, there
we're
she is.
good. Oh yeah, okay. Wait,
There's
say
too much
something
cat.
again. Oh, okay, perfect. I know.
Zoom can handle all that cat.
I'm
I'll go back.
watching more cat in my backyard. We've got a colony. I made like a feral cat shelter, and I was so proud of myself because I like went to Home Depot and da da
Yeah.
da, and it won't go in there. I'm like,
No.
I know. And I put like catnip around it, but then all these like tomboy cat the boy cats came over and they're like
Yeah.
spraying my window, and I'm like,
All the drug addicts.
yeah, all the drug addicts, like they're all like, "Mm." And I want to take her in because she's so cute, and she was staying in a box and I was feeding her, but anyway, I love cats so
Oh.
much. I mean, cats are so. I love cats for. I think for me, they taught a lot about boundaries. They taught a
Dude,
lot about like setting boundaries and like honoring my own fucking bound. I'm the worst at boundary. Like I'm just
yeah.
really bad at it. And cats have taught me that lesson. Like,
They set the
okay,
example. And
they
like
just respect themselves. They're like, no bitch. And I love that. I'm like, I need to be more like that.
they put themselves first. And honestly, I used to not really get it with cats. I mean, like I grew up with birds, Jen, I think you know that. Um, we're a bird person. But it's only been in the past couple of years I've suddenly become obsessed with cats. And I think it's because I needed to be healed enough to be able to like pick up what they were putting down. Because before I
It's
was like, they're so
Sekhmet is
mean.
coming to you.
I
That's
said Matt is coming to me.
I like how we're all this person.
Oh my God, Liz!
Amazing. Ah, oh well, mine is a little bit different, you guys.
Oh, I
Oh
love
yeah,
it. See, proud of us, guys.
love it.
We did it.
We did do it. Um,
We did it.
yeah, I have this exercise for you, Liz. This is kind of
I'm ready.
I don't know if I'm trying to think because I gave it to someone and I thought it was just such a great exercise, but it came intuitively for the person. Where do you buy gifts for yourself? Is that like a thing?
I'm a gift giver in general. I love trinkets and like all this crap, and then I
So you love
love buying
gift
gifts
giving.
for other people, like and
Okay.
like thoughtful. I love
Yeah.
flea markets and art markets. And like, this is all weird stuff I've bought
I
on the
love it.
road.
I saw the
We're gonna be
Pee-wee
best friends.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
I
it,
know.
guys.
We're going to bats France. So but like if there's something that you want that you haven't been letting yourself get gift wise, um, buy this gift for yourself. And somehow if you can put off the delivery of it for like a long time and just like clear your mind of this thing at all. Like just and then when it finally arrives to you to really like take a second and be like and even write a note for yourself that's like you are amazing, Liz. Like this is because you deserve it. You know, like all the things you would do for your friend, but you're sending it to you, and then when you get that package to just really take a second and like receive it, you know, like read it and be like, thanks, Liz, you're so sweet. And
Thank you
just
for
kind of
seeing me.
go through the really uncomfortable part of receiving the compliments, the love, you know, the I deserved it kind of a thing, you know, and
Yeah,
just see how it feels. Just for fun,
sure.
like a playful kind of you know, let's see if I can receive this
Yeah, no,
when
I
I
appreciate that.
set the intention to give it to myself. And you're also sort of doing that when you send it, like, you know, future Liz, you're the best, you know,
Yeah.
you're amazing. And
Instead
then
of like
really
the
like
trap
take it.
I set for future Liz, I'm such a procrastinator where I'm just like doing something last minute, and I was like, God damn it, past Liz. Oh, I'm so mad.
Oh,
I'm
we
so
do.
mad at you.
Every single time. I've only ever done things at the last minute. And then afterward I'm like, that was so much easier than I thought. Like every single
Oh
time.
my God. Dude, I have some emails from like 3 weeks ago, and it was like, dude, it was a yes or no question. What are you doing? Like,
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
insane.
it's so uncomfortable. I'll see all these things about like ADHD and that's like a big part of it,
Mhm.
like putting things off or something. Is that like Lyssa, you're the closest to like a therapist. Is that like a
Well,
thing?
okay, first of all, I'm not a diagnosing therapist. Like somatic therapist is not a psychiatrist. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put it out there. But because I am a middle-aged lady recently diagnosed with ADHD myself, um, yeah, it is a thing. Time blindness is a thing, which has more to do with like always thinking that you have more time than you do, um, or like it's sort of time is sort of distorted, kind of like spatial awareness can be distorted. So things always take longer than you think that they're going to, which I think personally is optimism, but whatever. Like, and I hate this about myself, how like I have to be like up to the deadline, you know. I'm definitely a person who's late sometimes. Not as late as other people,
Yeah.
but that yeah, there's something to do with like always thinking that you have more time than you do is an ADHD thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I also like I've never been diagnosed. I am diagnosed as dyslexic. Like they found out when I was in the 3rd grade, and that's something I've built a lot of coping mechanisms around, and I think that's why I
Yeah.
probably have ADHD, but that wasn't the pressing issue. As well as the fact that it's very low diagnosed in women or
Yeah.
girls. And I think a lot more women are figuring it out. But like I have so many coping mechanisms for dyslexia that now I'm starting to realize is why I probably ADHD and I didn't realize it, but I have no concept of time whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I have every boyfriend, every person that's lived with me has made fun of the fact that I have alarms because I set an alarm for when I have to leave, like jacket on out the door. I set an alarm 10 minutes before, which is like pee, brush your teeth, put on your shoes.
Yep.
And then I have a real get ready alarm, which is usually an hour before I take a shower because I usually shower like an hour before I do shows. And then like for this meeting, for this podcast, it was 5 minutes before, and then it was 10 minutes before, so I could pee and get my life together. But also I procrastinate so much that I just reuse alarms. So I'll have an alarm go off and it'll be like call Burkash. And I was like, what? What is that? What? And then I have to look and I'd be like, no, that's oh.
Right.
Like
Just want to show you,
whoever
Liz. Like,
organized. Yeah, that's
yeah,
me.
I have, yeah, and then like relabeling it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't need to
Easy
take
to
the
relabel.
empanada out of the oven. Like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
10
yeah, yeah.
a.m.
It's like wake up and it's like empanada out of the oven. You're like, what?
I know.
But you're hacking your own system. I mean, and like the overcompensating thing, that's why women have been, you know, underdiagnosed as having ADHD because they learn to overcompensate because failing to do it is actually not an option, you know.
Exactly, 100%. And so I've always just found
Yeah.
coping skills, and that for the longest time hides it up. And then you have to undo the coping skills to figure out how you built those coping skills. But I mean, I'm the meanest about my procrastination, and my boyfriend is one of the most organized people and on top of it people I've ever met. And I think he's really shined a light on how bad it is,
Mm,
to the point where like he's offered to fix the door for months, and I've said no. And the reason I've said no is I don't want him taking out my tools even though I know he's going to put him back. And I don't want him to work on something because that's 10 minutes that we could be like hanging out. And I'm like, we'll just do it again. We'll just do it next time. We'll just do it
yeah,
next time.
yeah.
And I did that with my car. My car, I lost air conditioning in September. And I was like, it's September, it doesn't matter. Then of course October we had a heat wave and we're both sweating in my car. And I was like, you idiot. That didn't teach me a lesson. I kept putting it off. And then my mom came to stay with me and I have to move my car for street cleaning, but one side of the street is paid parking, so you can't actually double park. You have to, it's like fun New York moment. You sit in your car, the street cleaner comes, we all pull over, he sweeps, we all pull back, and then we have to sit in it so we don't get a ticket.
I did that just today.
Yes. And like I've learned to like, I get posting stuff online done, I call friends, I get stuff done, but it is a pain in the ass. And my mom was here and I didn't want to waste an hour and a half in my car. So I was like, you know what? I'll drop my car off at Pep Boys and I'll finally get my air conditioner fixed. Thinking this is in December, by the way, thinking they're going to make fun of me and be like, dumb lady, it just put coolant in it. I was this close to losing my heat. Something big was really wrong with my car. It was like $2,000. I was like so upset that it was a lot of money, and B, that I was like, and thank God, because I was about to drive my sister and my brother-in-law home for Christmas, and that would have been a mess if I didn't have heat. Everything about it was like a fucking mess. And of course I tell my boyfriend and he's like, and he's like, it's just like I'm learning more and more. And all that says to me is you build these coping skills that take you for a certain place. But almost like what your card is saying is I'm now having bigger things, right? Hopefully I'll be doing more shows and bigger shows and different opportunities. And the skills that got me here, great, but these same skills might not carry me. So like some of what I'm pressing up against is the skills that got me here might not actually move over and help me where I am here. And I have to change and grow and be open to experimenting, like you said, to get here. And it might be messy.
Again, like everything you're saying, brilliant. I mean, you sound like a teacher. Like you that's the thing with any kind of like coping mechanism that we have that helps us avoid, being with our wound, whatever it is, or helps us avoid feeling like a failure. And those things carry us to a certain point and then they're just not working anymore. So you got to shed them. So I mean, you're doing a better job of this reading than I am, but like exactly.
Yeah, no, yeah, just let me know. I'll give you my Venmo. You tell me.
It's almost like the when we say like, oh, they're using it as a crutch. It's like, yeah, because something's broken and you need a fucking
Yeah.
crutch. Like
Yes.
we like all put it down in a way. It's like these
Yeah, but
coping mechanisms aren't the enemy. The situation creating the coping mechanism was the enemy, but we can look at it with like compassion for ourselves.
right. The coping mechanisms helped us survive because that was how we got our needs met when we were little.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
You were gonna
Yeah.
say something, Liz.
I was just because it just made me think like, okay, you have a wobbly table, so you like bunch up a bunch of napkins and you put it under it, and it fixed it. It did the job. But then eventually enough people move it, and then now the napkins don't work, and that's just not the right thing. So then you get like a little cork thing, and that goes under it, and that helps it for a little bit. And so now you have a kind of a stronger thing that's keeping the table from shaking. But eventually that looks kind of sloppy, and that's not how you want people to see you. So then you're like, oh, maybe I'll actually like screw this thing in and fix the table for it. But it's like a process of like this worked, so I'm going to keep it here, and now it's wobbly again. How do I fix it or grow or change? And like I think more and more you're like, well, I used napkins before, I'm just going to always use napkins. But eventually that's just not the right solution.
Right.
And sometimes you don't want to be somebody that uses napkins to make their table not wobble. And there's nothing wrong with being like, I would like to finally fix this problem. Instead of putting the windows down because I didn't fix my air conditioning, I'd like to be an adult that has an air conditioner that works in their car. Like that's who I want to be when I grow up.
Right. And but Lord knows, like you are kind of in the minority in terms of human beings because humans don't like making change. It's
It doesn't.
uncomfortable. It's
Oh
difficult.
no.
And more often than not, humans will keep putting the napkins under there until the whole fucking table collapses, and then you have to buy a new table. But what you're doing is being proactive, which I think is a sign of really an evolved person.
Sometimes.
That's okay. And
Receive the compliment.
yeah, receive it, Liz. Come on.
Holding
But
it.
it's like it's really important in my eyes that you're doing what you do because you're alchemizing all of this shit. You have an awareness, like a deep awareness that most people don't have, and then you get to joke about it. And that's
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm also one of those people who feels like the more healing we can do, like the more healing comedians can do, the better, even though that was not
That
what
was
I
never
guess
the message.
it was. Yeah.
The message was always that what you hate about yourself is what made you funny, and what's wrong with your life is what people find interesting. And the truth of the matter is the more I've gone to therapy, I think it's made me a better comedian in the sense that I connect with people better. Like if the whole point of comedy is to connect with others, like I feel like I connect with my friends and I'm a better friend and partner, but I also think I'm a better comedian because I can this is going to be a really weird example. My brother has bipolar 1 and he's had many like psychotic breaks, and I found it very fat and he's doing great. I'm very proud of him, but I found it very fascinating when he was getting better that he remembered all his psychotic breaks and we could laugh about it. We laughed about it and but I found it weird that he remembered these crazy made up people that he's talked to that weren't there, and he thought he was Jesus and all that stuff. And I feel like as I've grown as a person, I'm still little Liz. I'm still coping mechanism Liz. I still struggle with a lot of stuff, but even the stuff that I have awareness of and maybe I'm better at and I'm not as defensive and all these other things, I still am that person. So I can still talk about, my first thought is I'll fucking kill you, get the fuck out of my face. Even though I didn't say it, I can still be that person, and then I can shed light on why I don't want to be that person, or why I shouldn't be that person, or why I didn't actually say that. And it's created a a different viewpoint of the same person that's made me connect with a wider variety of people. Both
Yes.
people
Yeah.
that are like I am her, and the people that are like I'm not her, but I can see why she did that and why she is the way she is or how she's changed.
This
Right.
is
You're like
this is
a many faceted
expansion.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, this is expansion. This is the whole point of spiritual expansion, is seeing it from the multiple perspectives and like holding all those spots, you know.
Also, I will say, Liz, you are an inspiration to me because, like, I feel like one of the main reasons why I kind of let comedy go was because I felt like it wasn't. I wanted to keep evolving past the comedy that I was doing, and couldn't see a way to do that. And also, like, Marin, of course, is like the famous one who was like, I don't want to heal because then I won't be funny anymore, and like that genuinely felt like me, but also like the past few years I haven't felt like I have anything funny to say.
Yeah.
But but you are an example of somebody who does continue to evolve, like courageously, without worrying that you're going to lose your funny, and in fact, it's made you a better comedian.
And it's made me have, I can talk about the same stuff and have a different perspective. Like, I have a lot of mental illness in my family. My grandmother's my brother. I have my own issues with it. And, when I first started joking about the mental illness in my family, it was from a place of shame. And I still value those jokes, but as I've learned more about it, as I've taken care of my brother, as my brother's gotten healthier, as I've learned more about my grandmother's, as I've understood my own mental health issues, I can still make fun of it and also be empowered by it and share about it, and it comes from a completely different place. So same topic, completely different perspectives, and I can still be proud of both, but like it's an ability to watch your evolution and be proud of each step that you took, even though you're better now than you were before.
Yeah.
And I think I did this like women's conference like via Zoom during the pandemic, where it was a range of female comics from like been doing it as long as I have to like they just started and they're open micers. And one of the things I said that I was like, it's pretty smart, but I didn't fully have to deal with it, which is in New York, there's a collection of different voices because there's just too many people for everybody to be the same. But if you're in like Minnesota, when there's like 2 open mics a week, if that, you're going to get whoever is your community is what thrives. So if your community is a bunch of 25-year-old dudes making fart jokes and they're the ones getting spots, getting paid gigs, making people laugh and getting further, you might either adapt to that and be like, the only way to survive and be good is to tell 25-year-old male fart joke perspectives, or you could go, this isn't where I'm going to thrive and I need to move. And that could be just moving to a bigger city. That could be moving to New York or LA. That could be making your own community of female comics or just like minded people or older people, whatever it is. But it's really hard to be in something that it already seems like it's what you want. I want to tell jokes. I want to be funny and have the understanding and the fortitude to be like, but not here. Like, I'm not wrong. Where I am is wrong. And so I think I loved comedy. I worked really hard to get where I was, but I did feel stuck both in my life and in comedy. And I'm very fortunate that both my boyfriend at the time and my best friend from high school was like, you're not okay. And in the nicest way possible. And it, as a very defensive, closed down person, I feel very fortunate that I had at least enough self-awareness and insight, and I had very little to go, if my 2 favorite people think I'm not okay and need help, maybe I need help. And that kind of started the journey of, I was not, to no fault of my own, but I was creating my own bubble of sadness and I couldn't get out of it. And now when I find myself in a different pocket of sadness for whatever reason, I can go, what am I creating myself? And what is just not the right environment? And I think as women that have probably all been in not great relationships, you kind of gaslight yourself in the beginning. I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm just not sharing enough, or maybe I'm sharing too much, whatever it is. But eventually, I do think at some point, whether it's your friends being like, this guy sucks, or you going, this guy's not meeting my needs, you walk away. But it's harder to see that in a friendship, in a family dynamic where you have to say, I might not be able to hang out with this family member that I'm supposed to hang out with, but also a company, an office, a community. You could be in a community of therapists and be like, this might be a toxic community for me, even though this is supposed to
Oh,
be healthy. And also a community can be healthy and start to become unhealthy. And so for me, comedy, I remember my best friend, I was the most mad I've ever been at her. It was like probably 10 years ago. I would cry about my career all the time. And I remember her telling me, she goes, if comedy is making you so unhappy, maybe you don't like it anymore. And I was so mad at her because I was like, I love comedy. And it took days for me to realize that I do love comedy. I still to this day love writing. I love performing. I love every aspect of the creative challenge of comedy. I hate this business so much. And to this day, I still don't like this business. But what I was able to do is go, if I love what I'm doing, how do I shift it so I'm trying to get less of outside approval from this community I don't respect, I don't like, and doesn't like me back? And how can I continue to do what I want to do in a way that is a healthier place? And it took a long time. But every time I talk to a new comic, it's like, I'm not saying you probably can't grow and get better and you should challenge yourself and be in rooms where you are the worst, right? You're never going to be as fast as Usain Bolt, but you will grow by chasing him, by being on the same team. So I'm not saying don't challenge yourself, but it does take some self-awareness to know what is a healthy challenge and what is a losing unhealthy challenge. And I think that's all of life. Is this person pushing me to be a better person, or is this person toxic, or is this person actually bringing me more down and not letting me be my full self?
absolutely. It's like comfort or like discomfort is helpful. Like when you're stretching, you want to feel the stretch, you want to feel the burn a little bit, but like being able to sense that subtle difference, that subtle line between what is discomfort that's helping me grow and what is discomfort that's actually hurting me. And um, that's an inside job. But everything you're saying, Liz, like truly, like
Yeah.
you need to do a tour where you just speak.
I know. I'm like,
100%. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, this seems like a podcast that I would listen to. Not like, no, I'm not like I'm saying like
whatever,
you
Lyssa. I know what you're saying. You bitch. I'm just
Takes
kidding.
tarot cards, you start ripping it in front of you. Friendship over.
You
This
know
is
I
the
love you so
friendship
much.
tarot card.
I love Lyssa more than life itself. No, go ahead, Lyssa.
Why?
I do. I love you so much.
I love you too.
And I love you too, Liz. I love you for everything you just said, everything you're putting out there. It's I'm really grateful to both of you.
Yeah. But this is really fun. Like I think for me, I there was a lot of shame in how much healing I had to do because I like I remember being like, I'm a good girlfriend. And on the surface I was. I showed up, I was enthusiastic, I was supportive, everything on the outside that like if my attributes were written on a piece of paper, you'd be like, that looks like a pretty good girlfriend. But I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear any kind of constructive criticism. I couldn't disappoint anybody. I would like I couldn't hold my emotions. I couldn't hold other people's emotions, both positive and negative. I was just not there. And like with friendships, it was a little bit easier because I had most of my friendships for years. But I think if I continued on the path I was, I don't think I would keep a lot of the friendships I currently have. And I'm very grateful to the people I've known since I was in elementary school to a teenager to college because they've seen so many versions of myself. But it was always very eye-opening when a man came into my life because this is a new person that I'm hoping to be a best friend, and it would never go the way I would. I wouldn't get the benefit of the doubt I got that I built up from all the other years. And you could look at it and go, well, they don't know me, or boys suck, or whatever it is. I mean, my first boyfriend, I had the hardest time getting over because he was more mature than me. He was, he went into therapy later, but he was actually in AA. And I think that was the beginning. Like, he definitely was more mature because he went through this program. And it was the first time that I was I was dealt a good hand of a person, and I was the problem. And it was like, like, it's pretty hard to be like, ugh, I did that. I fucked that up. That was
Mm,
me. And so
mm.
I think in general, I'm a worker bee. I work hard, but that work harder, work smarter, it took me a long time to learn what that meant. Work smarter for me was really to learn what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, and to, even if I can't completely fix it in the moment, to, like, I can now tell people, like, hey, I'm super overwhelmed. Like, I'm not, like, and it sounds silly because I work an hour a night, but I travel, I'm tired, I'm writing emails, I I take forever to pack, and packing stresses me out. And it shouldn't. I do it every day pretty much, but it does. And so I have to be like, tomorrow's a packing day, and I've told everybody I can't do anything
Yeah,
because I have
and
to
there's
pack my underwear.
but you're unshaming, what you have found are your own natural limits, because energy is finite, and we've all been, you know, brainwashed to believe that energy is infinite, and that we are here to be, say yes to absolutely everything. And I think that, like, a really empowering part of growing older, especially as a woman, is saying, no, that actually isn't my limit. And, like, I have shame days too when I look around at my friends who have two children under 5 and a full-time job, and I'm like, what is my life? Nothing. Like, I walk around in my slippers and, like, talk to people about feelings, how, but I have found what my limits are, and I think that we can all just better serve the whole collective, if we respect and bow to whatever those limits are, without shaming ourselves for having them. And by the way, traveling is my favorite thing on earth, and packing is always the most fucking stressful
The
every
worst.
time.
The worst. And I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never not forgot something important. Not once. And somebody's like, you should make a packing list. I was like, I have, and I followed it, and I still somehow forget something important. It'll be in my hand. I'll go do something else. It'll be left on my bed, and
Yep.
and I'll be literally be there. I'll be in the plane sometimes. I'll be like, oh, my underwear. Like, I had it. I know I took it out of the drawer. How did it not land in the
It's like a little joke that yourself is playing on your other part of
Yeah.
yourself.
bag every time?
Let's see it. Oh my God. Well, you guys, this was amazing. Thank you so much, both of you, so much for being open, for sharing. And that sounds so cheesy. I hate the way that sounds, but you know what
Don't
I mean.
shame yourself. Being
Um,
open and
I
sharing
know.
our
I
safe
forgive
spaces.
myself
Sharing,
for
guys.
being self-deprecate. I'm gonna forgive myself for anyway. But so Liz, tell us what's going on in terms of your tour, and like where can people find you?
Yeah, so I taped a special in September. I should have a new special out. I'm hoping in March. Not sure where yet, but hopefully it's called Murder Sheets. So
I
enjoy
love
what that means.
I love
So that should hopefully be out soon. And then yeah, I'm touring all around. I have most of the winter and spring booked. Actually, I'm working more on spring and summer right now. I hope to go to Europe in May. We'll see how that works out. And then I've already written a new hour since I've taped that last one. I just ran it in Brooklyn yesterday, so I should hopefully have another hour. It's about cats and boys. This is pretty much what every album could be called: Cats and Boys by Liz Miele. Um,
I
I'm
love
very
it.
fortunate. My boyfriend's very supportive. My cats don't know English, so they're very supportive. But I am very
Oh,
excited about this new hour. So I'm touring a completely different hour than Murder Sheets.
I
Incredible.
love it. I love
Yeah.
the nonchalant murder
Yeah.
sheets.
Yeah, Murder
And
Sheets.
you're well, we'll have all your information down in the show notes. And then Lyssa, again, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're working on.
Yeah, so best place to find me, sadly, is probably Instagram at a flock of sandwiches. Um,
So it's so good.
I, I, that was the best joke I ever wrote in my life. But I offer tarot readings. I'm still taking somatic therapy practice clients, and and I don't know when this will come out, if it will come out before.
Probably the 14th. This might come out.
Oh my God, Valentine's.
Yeah,
guys,
it's
we
gonna
said
probably
love a
come
lot.
out on Valentine's Day.
Well, that's great. If you are local to New York or you want to travel here, the bitch seat is going to be at QED in Astoria on February 21st at 7:30. And it's got a fire lineup of people showcasing their inner children on stage.
Nice.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And of course, follow us at Sacred Comedy everywhere. And yeah, we'll see you next week.